close to this. And you've heard about the 13 or so executions you've had and 25 or 30 years here. You hear about it, but you're never going to be close to it. And there have been two efforts in the courts to let the public see what justice means, and the courts have turned it down. Why would they do that? Well, as George Will said once when we were in a debate together over national television, well, he says, it is an honorable thing, the death penalty. It's honorable because look what they did to their victim, and it's only right that the victims get this justice. Well, Mr. Will, why if it's honorable, why wouldn't we let the citizens see it? Don't you think it would drive the lesson home? He said, no, he said, might have a callousing effect on the public to see a person being killed by the state. And what I found out about the American people is American people are not wedded to the death penalty. It's not like they thought through this thing. You're the pros, you're the cons. Maybe we should do it. But then on the other hand, they barely reflected on it at all. Because we're a very active society. We're not prone to deep reflection. Except for dentists. Mike here, he's prone to deep reflection on everything. And so how do you help people think? And we have three ways in the society generally. One is art. So when the movie of Dead Man Walking happened, I rejoiced. Because Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins, we worked on every line and every scene of that movie together. They could not have been more collaborative. We have some students here who are interested in screenwriting, and they go to Loyola Marymount. And the secret of doing a good story, as Tim Robbins said, is that you got to have a movie that's full of surprises. You don't want predictable characters. Come out with the black hat, we know you're going to be the bad guy. Come out with the white hat, we know what you're going to do. And John Wayne, you ain't going to die in the end either. We're going to seek it predictable. And so just one little thing about what goes into making good art that happened in the film. We were working together on the scene. I'm at the family dinner table, and with Mama and my sister Mary and my brother Louie, and Mama's saying to me, Helen, what has drawn you to these death row people? These are the end of the line people. And shouldn't you be working with the children in St. Thomas, because they're just getting started. You could prevent them from going to death row or to prison. And I had written a nice little Jesus speech, my humble opinion. I just said, well, Mama, Jesus was on the side of the poor people and the oppressed and the voiceless people, and I'm just trying to do what Jesus did. And Susan Sarandon's looking at it, she goes, well, that kind of sounds like the company line, And so she scratches out my little Jesus speech, and she puts in this one line, it's in the film. Well, Mama, I feel more caught than drawn. He asked me to come. And anybody in the audience going on this journey is going to be able to follow that. You get more caught than drawn to something, much less give the great Jesus speech that goes along with it. Because you see, it's predictable that a nun talking to a mama is going to do the Jesus speech. But Mama, I feel more caught than drawn, and people could see, man, she's getting into stuff. She doesn't even know what she's doing. And that is what keeps your audience in there, like, what is this thing? Everybody's getting drawn into this thing. And so the other ways that we change consciousness and conscience in a society are education, and the other is spirituality or religion. And when we have our consciousness changed and our consciences sparked, we act. And we are gathered here tonight because it is so important to do this final push. We have 32 days. Here's the LA Times thing saying 50-some% of the people, but it's the way they ask the question. You ask a question like that, people go, to this day, you go up to people on the street and say, you for the death penalty for terrible crimes? Yeah. But I know, being with audiences all across this country, in all kinds of venues and settings, you get people to think about the death penalty, even for 5 minutes. And they go, oh, I didn't know it was like that. And Thurgood Marshall, who was the first African-American Supreme Court justice, he said it a long time ago. We've worked with it in working to educate the public, called the Marshall Hypothesis. He said, the American people say they support the death penalty. Educate them about how the death penalty really works, and they're going to reject the death penalty. Last 5 years, 5 states have put it down. New York, New Jersey, Illinois, New Mexico, Connecticut. And when California puts it down and replaces the death penalty with life, it will have a ripple seismic effect across this country that is going to bring the momentum for change in every state across this country. And that's us. We may have come here tonight for a variety of reasons. Our wife dragged us. Our husband dragged us. We have an aunt who's a nun. Whatever. Got you in the room. But we are talking about a fire of justice. And I want to end by saying this. I think the first revelation in the Judaic scriptures, in the book of Exodus, is Moses in that burning bush. And he sees the bush burning. And he goes, look at that bush. That bush ain't burning up. You know, it was the first green bush. The greening of the bush. It didn't burn up. It was on fire. It's renewable energy coming from somewhere in that bush. So Moses gets closer to the bush. Drawn to the bush. What's going on here? And then he hears a voice, take off your sandals, this is holy ground. Many a time when I have walked onto death row with these suffering human beings, the last 2 people I was with were innocent, and to watch them go to their deaths, anyway, with all the courts upholding the death sentence, holy ground. And then Moses hears the voice that comes from within the bush. And for us who believe in the revelation that is contained in life and in the scriptures, the voice said, I have heard the cry of my people. The only reason we still have the death penalty in this country, the only reason in this wonderful state of California, 714 people can be made to languish in cells for 20 years, or what's the waiting time before they're killed? The only reason that is still happening among us is that we have not heard the cry, because we're separated from it. And we're going about our lives and we're busy. And who's going to be brought right into the heart of that fire? Well, some of us have been made witnesses. And we stand before you tonight as those witnesses. And justice is a lofty term. But justice in its root meaning means just us. We are awake enough to be in this room tonight. And to be awake is always a great spiritual gift. We can't make ourselves be awake. We can't make ourselves get insight. We can't make ourselves understand something we never understood before. And that's why we need community. That's why we're with each other. That's why we come together. And together we light that fire. And together our hearts become impassioned to act for something much bigger than us. Something that's not going to accrue to us personally. We're going to get something that's not like doing a Tupperware thing or whatever. You're going to get something out of this too. We are going to get something out of this. And I'm going to tell you what. I've been working for this justice for 25 years. And it is the greatest adventure in the world to have our hearts seized with a passion and lifted over to something much bigger than ourselves, and to meet precious and wonderful human beings all along the way who engage with us in making this change. It's the only way things have ever changed in this society, of the people like us tonight gathered in this room to get Prop 34 over. And we got life on our side. We got all the noble virtues on our side. We don't want to torture people. We don't want to kill people. We don't want to put people in cages and keep them there for 20 years And you know the other thing we don't want to do? We don't want to engage our fellow human beings in being the ones who have to get in there and do the killing for us. And as you are aware, or maybe you're not, more and more voices are being raised up of past executioners, execution squads that have to do the killing, past wardens, Jeannie Woodford herself, that just say, I couldn't do it anymore. There's a great 3-page spread in Newsweek magazine within the last 7 months of this guy, Jerry Givens was the lead-off story. He worked in Virginia. The 10 deep South states that practice slavery do 80% of all executions in this country. They got equal justice under law carved in the marble over the front door of the Supreme Court, but they never look at the ground. They never look at the practice and how this thing is coming down. Can anybody explain to me how everybody's got the same Constitution? Everybody's got these statutes on their books, yeah, aggravating, mitigating circumstances, and 80% of the executions happened in the 10 southern states that practice slavery. The real practitioners are the states based in slavery. Does racism have anything at all to do with the way we apply the death penalty? And we know all that stuff. In fact, we got so much good, true stuff that we know. It's so on our side. And now what we got to do is get out the vote and get out the people. And we got to knock on doors and we got to get to those phones. And I'm going to tell you a secret and something I've discovered. The worst part is before we act. Maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. Well, and then on the other hand, you don't have to have my priority. All that going back and forth. When we actually put our hand on the rope and we begin to act, action is freeing for us. The energy of life flows through us. And we might get tired, but we know it's for something good. And action is actually a liberating action for us. For us. So thank you for letting me be a little part of this. It's been great. You know, we've been making our way from San Diego, and then we went to San Bernardino, and then we're going to go to LA tomorrow. And I love the people of California.
Orange County is the best.
Some say Orange County is the best. I ain't seen one orange on one tree, except for that stuff in the middle. You can't eat that. And now, I just want to prepare the way a little bit here to be his John the Baptist for Kurt Bloodsworth. This is the man who suffered the fire. I'm the storyteller, okay? But this is the man who's been in the fire and whose heart is as pure and good and full of love. He has every reason to be bitter and to be angry, and he's giving his life over for all the other people he knows that are on there. And so, Kurt Bloodsworth, I think, do you want to say something?